Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time once again to venture forth into the Fabled Lands. Now, when last we left off, Umule the priestess has visited the hermit and improved her charisma. Where do I want to go next? Apparently now we can head to Disaster Bay. Not the greatest name, but let's go take a look. You arrive at Disaster Bay, where you find a community of fishermen. Judging by their wealth, they also make a living by other means. You suspect by looting the ships that get wrecked on the stormy waters of the bay. A man offers to take you by boat, safely through the bay and north to the port of Yarumura on the Great Steps. It will cost you 50 shards. Now, if I do wish to venture forth to Yarumura, onto the frozen steppes. Let's just pull up a map here. This is quite a dangerous area. There are some relatively simple quests we could complete up there, but they're also extremely dangerous. Like, there's a few areas here where a random encounter roll will have a chance of something that's extremely deadly to Umule at the moment. So I think we should stay down here on this side of the great spine of Harkoon mountain range. Now, as she is rank 2, we should probably be thinking of heading into Golnir soon. Additionally, in Golnir it seems I can now head across into Old Harkoona, which is strange because I thought Old Harkoona wasn't included in what was being added at release. I thought Uttaku was. And there was this odd gap in the middle of a map. Are these two in the same book? If so, that would make a lot of sense. Now, we do want to go down here to the Lake of the Dragon, but we're not ready to face it yet. We'd need at least some more money. Go fight the Black Dragon Knight? We could do that. I think for now, I'll stay this side of the ocean. You leave the Disaster Bay behind and continue on the road. I'd like to go to Fort Meref. Fort Meref, named after an ancient hero, is the northernmost of the forts that guards Sokara from the ravening beasts of Nerech. A fortified wall stretches right across the peninsula. Roll a die. Okay. Opportunity to buy an item. You have an opportunity to buy a mandolin from a travelling minstrel for 100 shards. You know what? It would put off going to deal for Dragon for so long, but I think that's a pretty good price. Normally, that costs more, so yes. There we go. So we've now got 2 stat boost items, the Mandolin and the Enchanted Spear. And at our current rank, we should be looking to obtain as many of those as possible. We haven't done those quests yet, so that would be a good opening start. I think I'm very tempted to go and fight the Black Dragon Knight now. It will be risky, but can be done. You're on the road between the citadel of Velis-Corin and Fort Meref. This is quite rarely travelled. The military guard posts are few and far between. A sweet spring heals you of up to 3 damage. Yeah, fine. We're 3 health. Yeah, good. You are walking through the Bronze Hills. Virtually the whole area has been given over to mining. Everywhere quarries and mine shifts abound. It is a horrible expanse of torn-up earth. Hardly any areas of green are left. Great heaps of excavated rock, leached of their useful minerals, mar the landscape. You find a quarry that is open to the public. That is to say, if you pay 50 shards, you can dig for an hour in a silver mine. I don't have 50 shards to give, so that's a nice simple choice to make. You're wandering across the wilderness of northwestern Saqqara. There is a magnificent castle nearby with many different pennants flying from its towers. As you draw near, you see that the pennants all represent different coloured dragons. Red dragon, black dragon, green dragon, and so on. Outside the gates, a jousting list has been set up, and a few warriors are trying their hand against some knights who have dragon symbols on their shields. A knight in full plate armour rides up and says, "Welcome to the castle of Dragon Knights. It is our custom to joust against all who would come here for a wager, of course." He explains that you must bet the weapon and the suit of armour that you will use in the joust. If you lose, you forfeit the weapon and armour. If you win, you get the armour and weapon of the knight you defeated. Most of your opponents, you note, will be using a sword and plate armour. That's pretty decent armour, let's not mess. But the Black Dragon Knight is here. Do we have a healing potion? We do. Okay. You look for the Black Dragon Knight on a quest. Sorry, you are looking for the Black Dragon Knight on a quest that was set for you by Yanrit the Sun. You ask the knights if he is here. The Black Dragon Knight? Yes, he is, replies one of them, but he fights only to the death. There is no wager save the greatest of all for him. That is to say, life itself. Well, let us fight the Black Dragon Knight. The Black Dragon Knight comes out to meet you. His armour is of black steel, and you think you can see glowing red eyes through the slits in his skull face helm. You must fight him. Now, this is going to be quite tough. Okay. 4. We'll lay a curse on the Black Dragon Knight. And then pour down the cleansing flame of the heavens upon him. Oh, this is going to be tricky. We've put ourselves in a bad situation here, so we want to disengage and run away. And now we're just running out the timer on the cleansing flame. And disengage to here. Hope he doesn't come this way. He did. Disengage again. And continue to flee. Oh, this is tricky. He's boxing us in. Will this be enough? Yes! While this is the warrior promotion quest, it's significantly harder for the warrior than it is for the mage or the priest class. The other knights are amazed by your skill, and they seem quite pleased that the Black Dragon Knight is dead. "He was an evil man," says the Green Dragon Knight. You take the Black Dragon Shield. As you watch, the rest of your opponent's body dissolves into a foul-smelling smoke. Armour and all, you leave the castle. And we are taking that shield. Now, this is a very nice shield. Plus 15% chance to block is really rather good, as our block chance is currently absolutely nothing. While we are required to give up this shield as part of the quest, let's hope we can find another one. I do have a good idea where we can get one, but let's continue on our path. Back into the Bronze Hills. We've read this before. We don't have the money. Karan Baru is a medium-sized town that acts as a way station between the citadel to the north and the rich towns of the south. It is a garrison town. Many supplies, arms, and soldiers move through Karan Baru on the north-south trail. Shops, temples, traders, and the like have sprung up here to serve the needs of the military. There is also a sizable mining community, for the mines of Saqqara lie in the Bronze Hills just outside of town, and a slave market where poor unfortunates sold into slavery are bought for work in the mines. They call that a mine. The Karanbaru market consists of several covered arcades. Much of its stock is for miners and soldiers, and it is run with business-like efficiency by the Sokaran military. We're going to go to the pub. The Blue Griffon Tavern is frequented by soldiers and mercenaries. The tavern costs you 1 shard a day. Each day you spend here you can recover 1 stamina point if injured, up to the limit of your normal unwounded stamina score. Now, somebody on the forums suggested that it would be quite nice to have a notebook, possibly attached to the quest list, where we could keep track of our own notes and journal entries and so on. I'm not sure that we should be able to type things, but it would be useful for keeping track of the tavern rumours and other pieces of particularly useful information that we can get hold of. Now, generally, when we reach a situation where that sort of information comes in really useful, the game will, say, hey, you know how to do this, or something like that. Give us a bit of a reminder. There are some encounters where certain options become available once we know the information. But it would be nice to have a reference for all that information so we know if we've gathered it or not. If I stop playing for a few days and come back, it'll be nice to look it up and go, oh yeah, I've got that information, I don't need to go and get it again. That being said, having a list of all of the important, pertinent information as opposed to the not so important rumours would give me an unfair knowledge of what was important and what was not, and would guide my adventure in directions, so I'd know, for example, I want to go to this place because I've heard a rumour about it. Perhaps if all rumours, true and false and relevant or no longer relevant and so on, were gathered, that might help. Now, I actually brought up a point with developers about the save menu, right? I'll just save the game here, because when I go to load a save, now all my saves are on classic difficulty, which has now become champion difficulty because we have new difficulty settings. We get the portrait of the character, we get the time and date, character name, rank and class, location. It might be nice, maybe up here, to have an icon indicating the difficulty version that I'm playing on, because we now have 4 difficulty settings instead of 3. We have Adventurer mode, which is new. It's a little bit easier than the previous, somewhat easier mode, which has been renamed and become a little bit harder, I think. And then we get Classic, which has become Champion, and then we still have the Iron Man mode, which is Champion but extra hardcore, which is not ideal if I'm recording videos, because sometimes there are technical difficulties. Right. However, if we were to place an icon with, because every one of the difficulty settings has an icon which is only used in character creation, you could stick it on these saves as well, because you could save lots of different characters, lots of different playthroughs, lots of different... This is the old early access on Mule, this is the newer Mule. You can tell because she looks different, and the date, But, where was I going? Oh yeah, I'm not sure it would be a good idea to put a sign on there. You already get, I think it says Iron Man mode written in red. It's either up here or over here or something. But if you're having multiple playthroughs on different difficulty settings... Oh! Perhaps it could be a coloured border around the portrait. Or the icon behind the portrait, something like that. I don't know. But my feeling is we have enough information here already, and if we add more on the side, it might start to look a bit clunky. Like push the time and date over here, and have something over here. So, nice idea, not necessarily a good idea. Let's look for Yanrit the Sun. You ask the innkeeper about Yanrit the Sun. He looks at you oddly, clearly unsettled by your question. Some say he is the son of a mortal woman and the god Turnoi, but he has not been here for some time. Suddenly he stops and stares in amazement at the corner of the tavern. You turn to look, and there, hunched over a stoop of ale, is Yanrit the Sun. He greets you. I'd better give him the Black Dragon shield. It's what he requires, after all. You hand him the Black Dragon shield. You are indeed worthy, he says. And will you teach me your fighting arts, you ask? You have already learned all I can teach you, he says. You realize that what he says is true. Your defeat of the Black Dragon Knight has taught you much. And we have gained a point of combat permanently. You look up, but Yanrit the Sun has gone, and we shall leave the tavern. So now, we have a somewhat more competent. Yeah, try saying competent free. Hey! Couldn't even do it twice. Competent. Even then, you have to kind of pause to make sure you... Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Nice little tongue twister. Okay, so... Where do we want to go to make some money? That's a tough one. We could try heading to Golnir, but Golnir's a bit of a tourist trap. The inns there are more expensive. Based on early access knowledge, where can I go to get to rank 3 and get lots of money? I can go up to the Great Steps, and there's a quest that will take me out to around here, but will involve 1 or 2 very dangerous encounters which could be avoided, but it's pure random dice rolls, so I would need better combat and charisma before I seriously considered going up there. Or generally all-round stats. There are some high dice rolls in the Great Steps, up in the 14s and 15s, that are actually quite challenging. Golnir is about the right level place to be, currently. But there's not very many money-making opportunities in Golnir. I mean, there are some. Don't get me wrong. Is there much more I could do in Saqqara? I could go try and get the special magic book from the monks from the Scorpion Men, but for that I would want good thievery and magic, neither of which are particularly great. I could increase my magic significantly in the Northern Steppes, but again, it's a very dangerous area and I'd like to be about rank 3. Where else can I gain a rank? In Golnir, I could gain a rank by trying to slay the dragon. The dragon's got something like 40 stamina and is obscenely hard to try and defeat. So what I might try and do is pass through Golnir into Old Harkuna. Now Golnir does feel as if it's a little bereft of content, and Old Harkuna looks tiny with very few locations in it when I actually get to the map, so it turns out that the 2 quests on the Isle of the Druids appear to have been transplanted from Golnir to there, so that could be why there seems to be slightly less content here. There are opportunities to make coin, but I would need to be careful. To get into Narech, I would want high magic. I can get magic via the Isle of Mystery and Yarumura in the Great Steppes, but it's incredibly risky because of some of the encounters there. How can I try to get money here? Well, I can roam around hoping to roll that 1 in 3 chance in some locations, which will get me something more valuable. If I'm not going to the Great Northern Wastes, Frozen Steppes, I will sell this wolf pelt. That gets me a little more money, which will give me a slightly easier time of it. Oh yeah, how much for a mandolin? 300? I got it cheap. I got it really cheap. I don't think I could sell them after... Wait. Can I? So at this point, what I'm mostly trying to do in Saqqara and Golnir is to save up enough money to buy a boat and sail around raising funds. I don't need a massive amount now because the skills on when I gain a new rank will help. The road is nearly blocked by wagons and supply convoys. A troop of soldiers forces its way through the throng. The men bang heads indiscriminately to clear people out of the way. There is one more chance in Golnir to gain a rank down in the Castle Marlock, but it's very dangerous. There's the cursed library with 3 books in it that you can roll, and I'd have to roll like under a 6. One of the books would give +1 scouting, one of the books would give +1 rank. But if we roll too high, we'd get a cursed book which would wreck all our stats, drop us back down to rank 1, with even less stamina than we normally begin with. And every time we leave, a demon would come and kill us unless we had a feather or could make a really high scouting roll. It's not something I'd feel particularly comfortable trying anytime soon. So I should definitely be looking to make money in Saqqara. So we're down the roadside tavern, we don't need to rest. We'll head down to Trefoil. I think Golnir is the right direction to be headed though, we just need to be careful. Found a sword? Sell a sword. Leave Olafard the Wizardly, but I will, I think, come and revisit him soon. Marlock City is a huge, sprawling metropolis enclosed in a fortified wall said to have been built 1,000 years ago by the ancient Shadar Empire. It is the capital city of Saqqara. Marlock City was once known as Sokar, until General Grieve Marlock led the army in a bloody revolt against the old king Corin VII and had him executed. The general renamed the city after himself. It is now a crime to call it Sokar. The general lives in the king's palace and calls himself the Protector General of all Saqqara. Whereas the old king was corrupt, the general rules with a fist of iron. Some people like the new regime, others are royalists, still loyal to Nergan, the heir to the throne, who has gone into hiding somewhere. Outside the city gates hang the rebels of many dead people. Labels around their necks read, "Rebels executed by the state for the good of the people." That's quite a few words for a label. "You best behave yourself if you don't want to end up like one of them," grates a guardsman, noting towards the swinging corpses as you pass through the great eagle-headed gates of Marlock City. Not going to read that because it's simple instructions. I have a sword to sell. Climbing gear, I'll hold on to it. It'll come in useful in the long term, I'm sure. And I should also hold on to most of this money. Now, I would like to find out if I can get Raise the Fallen as my free skill at rank 3. Oh no, rank 4. Okay. Invigoration, also good. I'd like to get both of those, but no worry, no hurry. Let's head up the Grim River. Well, up the bank. We're not swimming upstream. We're not salmon. You're on the east bank of the River Grim, a great, powerful river which rushes past towards the sea. You can travel to Golnir from here. A water sprite curses you. Lose a blessing. Do we have any blessings at the moment? We do not, so that's okay. However, the curse does not hurt you as you have no blessings. Indeed, now let's head west to the other bank. There must be a ford or... I don't see a bridge. You're walking along the bank of the River Grim, called the River of Souls, because it is said to carry ghost barges laden with the souls of the dead. An uneventful journey. Here, on the flat country of southeast Golnir, the River Grim meanders before sluggishly debouching into the swampy delta of Magwort Fence. I should still look up if that's debauching, because it's not debauching. Because the river is not committing an act of debauchery. And it's not spelt that way. Lush rivers are on one side, the surging river on the other. You reach a point where it is possible to ford the river across a causeway of ancient weathered stones. So there's a causeway. Great! Now, you see here, there's a bridge. Also, here is a bridge. These look like nice, fun places to be. Now, at some point, we should find a god or goddess for Omule to worship, to preach the virtues of, to represent. There are a number of encounters in Golnir that particularly deal with the power of the god of the dead. And we do have the opportunity to gain a spell to summon an undead skeletal warrior. Perhaps we'll lean in that direction. We'll see. East of the Whistling Heath lie fertile lands that provide rich pickings for the yeomen of central Golnir. You encounter 7 fools who are engaged in a preposterous venture. The simpletons are trying to get their cow to climb up a ladder onto the roof of their house, where they have noticed some stalks of grass growing in the thatch. "Go on, Daisy," urges one of the 7 fools, giving the reluctant cow a shove. "Why don't you climb the ladder, cut the grass, and throw it down to the cow?" you suggest. They are so pleased that they invite you to stay with them for a few days. If injured, you can recover stamina points before setting out on your way. Let's head to Haggart's Corner. The town of Haggart's Corner stands at a place where 3 roads meet. Here, in certain seasons of the year, the Trow are said to come and trade their marvellous trinkets in exchange for human favours. It is a pretty pastel-hued town. Houses with high gables and mullioned bay windows are set around a series of courts where fountains splash dreamily in the sunset. Sounds like a Disney place. The market at Haggart's Corner amounts to just a few shops whose dusty shelves suggest they don't do a roaring trade. "People prefer to do business with the Trow," says one storekeeper with a shrug. "Who can compete? Perhaps you will find a bargain here all the same." The Saucy Goblin Inn has no rumours. Fine. Explore? I don't think so, just yet. We don't have very much the Trow would want. We have a flask of fairy mead, which the Trow do like. That would get us into the market, but we might need it to leave, so we don't really have a lot. And the odd onyx coins called Mithrils used by some of the fairy folk. We have none of those. No point trying to deal with them yet. Perhaps we can get more fairy mead in the future. Oh! I was going to go to Yellowport and do the Golden Net quest for the Church of Alvir and Valmir. That would have netted me a tidy sum of money. And a magic trident. I'm pretty sure I haven't done it yet. And I stand reasonably good odds. Reasonably. I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm kind of in the kind of place where that would be good. But hey, I'm here now. What can I purchase? What can I sell? Not very much. That's okay. The East Road. Now this here is where we can meet the Knights of Nagil, god of the dead. You're on a road that stretches across the downs between Haggart's Corner and the coast. The priests give you some advice on religious rituals that might stand you in good stead, as well as a potion of godliness. Hooray! Bidding the priests farewell, you continue on your way. Let's visit Wishport. Now, Wishport pays a very good price for the minerals we can pick up from Yellowport. Wishport is a picturesque town set at the back of a bay rimmed by white cliffs. Fish, oils, dyes and other commodities are packed here for transport inland. The market is located in a warren of alleys adjacent to the waterfront. Each alley is dedicated to a different commodity. In one you can buy rope, in another lanterns, and so on. You hear the echo of hammer on anvil from the weaponsmith's forge just ahead. Let's see what I can buy. Lots of expensive things. Yellow dye, alchemy. 75 to buy. Made of simple lichen, yet still a luxury in some parts of the land. Smolderfish. We can sell these for 55 up north. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay. So not a lot here to do. Let's head back out on the road. Avoiding the haunt for now. Let's see if we get any nice fun encounters. A nice safe journey, that's good. To Metriciennes. Metriciennes is a large trading city of broad market plazas and great palaces built by the wealth of the merchant princes. You can buy a townhouse here for a stonking 200 shards, which we simply do not have. The market is one of the largest you have ever seen. It stretches for hundreds of yards through piazzas covered with silk awnings, along the great esplanade overlooking the bay, and through shadowy colonnades where fortunes are made and lost in the course of a single conversation. Let's see what we can purchase. The wheat here is particularly cheap and can be sold back in Sakara for a very good price. Pretty much 100% markup. However, we'd want a boat for that. So we need about another 200 shards, which we simply do not have. We can sell the fairy mead here. In fact, we can sell quite a lot of items here. None of which we currently have. So that's where we can sell the copper pot. Okay. Copper pot and cured venison. Ink pot. Green gem. These appear to be new items, I think, or some of them new. Let's continue roaming around the land. The road snakes on between the verdant farmland. To either side you see peasants working in the fields. The barns and thatched roof cottages present an idyll of peace and contentment. As in Idylls of the King. An uneventful journey. Well, that's great. The road to the coast carries a constant traffic of trade goods to and from the hinterland. A nice, safe, uneventful journey. Very slim chance of that uneventful journey, I might add. Only a 1 in 11 chance. Here in the peaceful countryside of southwest Golnir, well, it's not 1 in 11, it's like 5 and 2, 2 and 5, 3 and 4, 4 and 3, 6 and 1, 1 and 6. So it's a 6 in 36, so it's a 1 in 6 chance, which is better than 1 in 11. Let's see. Here in the peaceful countryside of southwest Golnir, hay carts rumble down leafy lanes and peasants look up from their work with a cheery wave. The dangers that an adventurer must often face are easily forgotten in this idyllic setting. Well, let's see what we can encounter. A storyteller? Oh, great! Let's see what he can tell. The storyteller is sitting on a grassy hummock beside a leafy lane, regaling the children from a nearby village with his tall tales. Look, I haven't heard either of these stories yet. I'm happy to hear, whichever one he tells. The story concerns a hairy old bogle who used to eat anyone who strolled too close to his lair. One day he caught a young maid who begged to be given a day off to set her affairs in order. Oh, this sounds very familiar. This tickled the bogle's humour so much that he said he'd spare her life if she could tell him what his name was. Oh, it's Rumpelstiltskin. Right, okay. The maid pretended to go back home to see to her affairs, but in fact she hid near Verbogle's lair, and so she heard him singing to himself. I'll be making a meal of a plump-built maid, who doesn't know my name is Friddle McCade. But of course, when she came back the next day, she was able to name Verbogle, and so she lived happily ever after. That seems to be the end of the story. And that's totally fine. Avoiding the river road as it can be a little dangerous. The black turrets of Castle Ravane rise above the treetops. From the topmost tower flutters the black lion banner of the Ravane clan. This is the stronghold of Varna, Baroness of Ravane. I'd like to point out again, oh, the banners are actually black now. They were white in early access. It was a little bit of a point of contention. Let's just zoom in there on those dark banners that now match the description. Don't get me wrong, they looked really great as white banners. It's just the description said they were black. Wow, that's a really subtle change. And one the developers have snuck in there. Oh, you sneaky developers, you. I appreciate it. Right, let's try and enter the castle. You're near the heavy drawbridge. Not rank 4. Sentries with huge black halberds block your way across the drawbridge. You try to convince them to let you enter. That's a lot of black. Bit of a theme here. Hey, we got into the castle. Castle Ravane is virtually a city in its own right. The outer courtyard is filled with stables, grain stores, pens for livestock, carpentry yards, and a smithy. Nearby, some knights are keeping fighting fit by charging with lances as a straw-filled dummy. Beyond another line of defences encloses the inner keep. Beyond another line of defences encloses the inner keep. Much better. Scansion, pay attention to the comma. That's what I get for recording this at like 4 in the morning. The armoury in Castle Ravane resounds with the clamour of hammers on anvils. The artisans here provide arms and armour for the greatest knights of Golnir. You can buy top quality equipment or sell anything you do not need. Well, about that. I clicked on the wrong thing. Don't worry about that. I was armoury. They were willing to buy not very many items, really, actually. Lots of expensive items here, really expensive, and books with warrior skills in them. All of which are far beyond our humble means right now, as a simple servant of the gods. The doorway into the castle keep is guarded by elite knights in gleaming gem-studded armour. They watch you narrowly as you approach, then slowly cross their halberds to bar your path. "What's your business here?" asks one. "Well, I'd like to go in and, The guards are not convinced you're important enough to be admitted to the keep. "Has the Baroness summoned you?" they demand to know. "She's very busy." To convince them to let you in, you need to make a charisma roll at a difficulty of 10. Now that's easier than the roll we had to make to get into the castle, but the consequences are more severe. Do we have some kind of... We don't have some kind of... So 6, we'd be looking at a 5. 5's not too hard. We'll have a try. There we go. The guards are convinced by your pervasive tongue. One of them gestures with his thumb, saying, "Go on in then, before I change my mind." The inner keep of the castle is a mighty fortress with walls several meters thick. Narrow windows admit golden shafts of sunlight in the gloomy hallway. Let's seek out the wizard Estragon. You find Estragon in his laboratory deep under the bedrock on which the castle rests. Crude stone steps wind down into a glimmering darkness filled with strange lights and fumes. Estragon strides forward, holding an alembic, which he is heating with an incendiary spell. The glow of the chemicals throws his seamed old face into sharp relief against the backdrop of darkness. "I have been waiting for you," Estragon says. "There is a task you can perform, and in return I'll teach you a little sorcery." "I require several objects for one of my biggest experiments," says Estragon. "The first being a scarab amulet. Go and find one. When you bring it here, I'll reward you well. I will accept the mission, although it might be a while before I complete it." You accept the first of the wizard's tasks. I will also attempt to request an audience with the Baroness. Sir Debrumas, the seneschal, takes you into the Baronesses Court. She sits in regal splendour on the gilded seats of House Ravane. A gonfalon showing the black lion crest hangs on the wall behind her. Although young and slender, she has the fierce, unflinching gaze of one who is born to rule. "Why have you come?" she asks. "Well, obviously, I came to the biggest castle in the land to find the ruler that I may be given a quest." "You wish to serve this noble household?" replies Baroness Varna. "In what capacity?" "Well, obviously, I heard there's been a lot of rumours going around. Someone's very bad at covering their arse." So Debrumas takes you to the far side of the room. "Rumour has it there's a plot against the Baroness," says the seneschal. "However, I lack enough information on the matter. An outsider could be useful to gather some clues unnoticed, find out who might be behind it, and expose them to the throne." You nod to show you understand. "I shall keep my eyes open, Sir Debrumas." "You know what? Let's go see her again. Because there is a new quest available now that new lands have opened up. Spying on her foes. In a one-horse open sleigh? I don't know. "I desire you to go to Uttaku," says Varna. "The Uttakin are said to be steeped in decadence. I am advised they no longer pose a military threat. See if this is true." You accept the mission. The audience is at an end. You bow and withdraw. Let's leave the castle. Take the road, sail up river, sail down river. Let's take the road. The River Road, as it is called. The road is built of old grey cobblestones, which are now half overgrown with a carpet of rich green grass. Sometimes you pass a patrol of soldiers or a peasant leading his cattle to market. You do not expect any trouble on this well-patrolled stretch of road, but we may find some all the same. "Confess your sins," says the partner you meet along the road. "For a small fee I can grant you absolution." "And how small would that be?" 7 shards. Look, we're a religious character? Absolutely. The partner gives you a special blessing. This allows you to reroll any failed sanctity roll once. After making a second attempt at the roll, whether successful or not, the blessing is used up. That's okay, let's head to Delpton. The village of Delpton flourishes by the shipping of grain downriver to Ringhorn. Delpton Market is small by the standards of the great cities of the south coast, but you may find some useful knickknacks. So, if Delpton sends grain to Ringhorn, the grain price in Ringhorn will be in less demand, so they won't pay as much for it as they might in other places, and it might be more expensive to buy as well than in Meretriciennes. So, there's an inn. Let's listen for rumours. You overhear a storyteller regaling a group of farmers from a nearby village with his tall tales. He tells a story of a woodcutter who fell asleep one afternoon and awoke to find it was dark. Having lost his way, he was very frightened, but when he saw smoke over the tree tops. Going on, he reached a camp where slim young gypsy maidens were dancing around a fire. With smiles and merry laughs, they invited the woodcutter to join them. Now it so happened that the woodcutter's grandmother had been a gypsy, and she taught him the traditional greeting that he now called out, "Za Devlesa," which is to say, "May the gods be with you." No sooner had the maidens heard this than they all collapsed like matchwood, and creeping closer, the woodcutter saw there were just piles of mouldering bones in the clearing and not living people at all. "So, you know what he did?" concludes the storyteller. "He climbed an oak tree and stayed there shivering until dawn because he knew that no ghost can follow you up an oak tree. The day is wearing on and 'tis time you were on your way." A merchant is packing to leave at the same time as you are. You travel through Castle Ravane quite a bit, I suppose, he says. We can expect a change there quite soon, I hear. Oh, what sort of change? A new head of the House of Ravane. The Knight of the Long Knife is plotting against that young sprat Varna. Not that I care one way or the other. Merchants may be no better than thieves, as people say, but in that case, the nobility are even worse. They're thugs. So we got a rumour. Has that helped us identify the villain? I think it might. But we might need to get other rumours to complete it. Let's travel back and find out. We could go across the bridge as well, maybe. We've just been on this road. Aha! An eerie glimmer shines between the trees that overhang the road a little way ahead. Venturing a little further, you see in the gathering darkness that an old iron gibbet is set on one side of the road. The glowing light hangs around it like a bubble of marsh gas. Let's go closer. You meet a figure palely loitering under the gibbet. The hairs on the back of your neck rise when he steps forward and passes his hand right through you. Yes, I am dead, he moans. Wrongfully executed on this gibbet for a crime I did not commit. The real murderer had me framed, but I'll be avenged on him yet with your help. He wears a velvet patch over one eye. Find him and bring me what lies under the patch. I'll be grateful. Never think I won't. Now that is a mission I had hoped to pick up here in Golnir. You nod. He vanishes. A shiver passes up your spine. However long ago this crime was perpetrated, the spirit cannot have rest until his tormentor is dead. Let's go back to Castle Ravane and try to get in. Of course, we're going to have to persuade the guards to grant us entrance, and oh dear. Get lost, you lone-born dog, says a sentry, jabbing you with the butt of his halberd. Ow. You know what? Let's try again. That's better. And we'll try see the Baroness, see if we have enough information. Come on, we can do this. Oh, just. The guards are convinced by your persuasive tongue. Let's go see the Baroness. In pursuit of a quest. You have no clue which of Varna's knights to accuse of plotting against her. Perhaps try your luck. The three who are closest to her would logically have the best opportunity to betray her. You can step out and accuse none of those at all. Let's just go back, leave the castle, be on our way. I'd like to cross the river or head north to the mountains. A partner? Look, we already have the blessing, we don't need it again. Let's head to Delpton. You can travel up from here by river if you choose so. To do so, you must pay a fare of 5 shards. Otherwise, you can cross the bridge and set out in the direction of the Singing Forest, or travel into the hinterlands. Now, at some point, I would like to head up to the mountains, but let's not do that yet. Let's actually cross the river to pastures new, as it were. You are at the banks of the River Reese, which marks the border between Old Harkoona and the merchant cities and baronies of the land of Golnir. A bridge spans the river leading to Delpton on the other side, and we will continue in Old Harkoona. As you can see, this is an extremely narrow patch of land. It looks wider on this map, it looks almost as wide as Golnir, but here it feels much more slender, as if this has been compressed or crushed, perhaps by the mighty weight of the Uttakin Empire. Well then, we have the Singing Forest, which is a very large area, which might only be 3 or 4 sections. The old castle, old Harkuna. Let's head up this way towards this mighty ruined edifice. Oh, actually, that might be a bad idea. It could be haunted. You're travelling across the wild countryside of old Harkuna. No event, that's great. The land is bleak and desolate. It is worked by peasants in rags, desperately poor and taxed almost into oblivion by their harsh overseers, the lords of Uttaku. So, old Harkuna is a vassal state. You spot the occasional troop of mercenaries in the pay of the Uttaku patrolling the area and keeping the locals in their place, i.e. oppressed. So, what looks like some kind of village, or maybe an inn, the High King's Seat. That sounds like a pretty important location. I don't think we've heard very much about it. It might be... I know there are some rumours relating to the High King's Seat. It might be wise to go in forewarned. You're travelling through old Harkuna. Uttaku mercenaries, I hope they don't rough me up. You come to a small village of old Harkuna, when a band of cutthroat mercenaries in the pay of the Uttaku decide to supplement their pay by robbing you. No title, we don't have blue skin. There are at least 10 of them, outlaws from all over the world who have taken up service in the Empire of Uttaku, pikemen from Atticala, nomads of the steppes, hawk-faced tribesmen of the Desert of Bones. Yeah, we're going to run away. You flee and the mercenaries give chase, venting their joy in the hunt with cries of bloodlust. You dart into a large warehouse used by the local merchants to dye clothes. If I hide in a barrel, I'm going to get blue skin, aren't I? Then if I meet the mercenaries again, they'll be, "Oi, you're the one who couldn't get away, who got away last time. We'll have you for that." And then it's like, fight, no escape. I'm going to run. The mercenaries are waiting for you on the other side of the warehouse, having worked out where you were hiding. You will have to fight them. Oh dear goodness. There are 10 of them, battle-hardened veterans to a man. You will have to be one of the best warriors in the world to beat the lot. Yeah, they're gonna kill me. Not going to end well. They beat you into unconsciousness, bind you in chains, and take you to Aku, where they sell you into slavery. Oh, come on! That's not very nice. You have been taken by the masked lords as a slave. You lose all the money and items you were carrying from your adventure sheet. They are gone forever. You are taken to the slave pits in Aku, city of the Faceless King and capital of Uttaku, where you are set to work in a deep underground chamber of enormous size. Shafts of light come in through tiny windows set in the vaulted ceiling, and the huge, slowly turning fans set into the walls provide constant ventilation. The halls of never-ending toil, as the place is called, is full of mechanical devices, pumps, chains, and tiered steel walkways spanning many levels. It is dark, gloomy, and populated by thousands of slaves chained to machines that are run on human power. Masked overseers crack the whip over the sweating, labouring slaves, pale from years out of the sun. It is as if you have been sent to hell itself. This isn't going to be good, is it? You are chained to a large millstone grinder, which you and several others have to push round and around, day after day. You are well fed and cared for, however, much like a farmer's valued workhorse. You can restore any lost stamina points. Really, I seem to have not restored any. You are chained in a row with several other slaves. On your immediate left is a blue-skinned Uttakin called Isputaxus Uilusa. Blue skin is the mark of a purebred aristocrat of Uttaku. Oh! And the barrels could have been full of blue dye. And you wonder what terrible crime a noble could have committed to end up a slave. He tells you it was for supreme heresy. "If it wasn't for my noble birth, I would have been executed in the Red Garden," he explains. "The Red Garden?" inquires another slave, a bald-headed nomad of the northern steppes. "Best you not ask about the Red Garden. says the Uttakin mournfully before sinking into a despondent silence. You spend endless months in the hall of never-ending toil. The experience toughens you up, and we got a point of combat, so we got something for losing all our belongings. Oh, including the amulet which we would need for the oh no. Oh no. Poor Omule, what is happening here? Well, it's not fatal yet. You get quite friendly with Isputaxus. He used to be one of the high caste of the masked lords, though he has now forfeited his right to wear a mask. He teaches you about Bok, an ancient and revered strategy game like chess played by the masked lords of Uttaku. You have gained 1 circle of Bok mastery. You are now a first circle master. Trial by Bok is an odd custom of the Uttakin. Any plaintiff or defendant can choose trial by Bok to resolve his case, so it is always important to make sure you can play the game well. In other words, we might need to do that soon. One day, a masked Uttakin known as the Master of Minions comes to select several slaves for service on the surface. You are among those chosen. In other words, a chance to escape. Probably thievery, which we're not going to be very good at. You are sent to work for an Uttakin sorcerer, the Artificer of Magics. Uttakin sorcery revolves around enchanted machines and magical apparatus, rather like the Dwemer in the Elder Scrolls series. The Artificer, who wears a mask bizarrely fashioned to resemble a crescent moon with a long pointed forehead and chin, sets you to work in his lab. You learn quite a bit. You gained a point of magic. I still have a feeling this is not going to end well. Flying carpet? Or banish a demon? This ain't going to end well, is it? One day, the Artificer makes an elementary mistake and releases a demon he was trying to bind. The demon blows the roof off and assails the wizard with the fires of hell. It is all the Artificer can do to protect himself with his spells. So, steal a flying carpet and escape, probably thievery, try to banish the demon ourselves, magic, or sanctity. If it's sanctity, we might be okay. It's magic, we're screwed. You attempt to banish the demon yourself. I mean, it is a demon, so I thought... oh, well. You're unable to control the demon. It burns the wizard and all his equipment to a crisp, but leaves you unhurt before returning to the underworld. The Uttakin hold an inquiry, and, as they cannot admit that an artificer of the nobles of Uttaku could be at fault, they decide that you murdered him. You are hauled off to the Red Garden for execution. And there's probably not a lot we can do about that. The Red Garden is where the Uttakin dispose of their criminals and heretics. The condemned are thrown into the large, sunken garden, and the suckered tendrils of the man-eating carnivorous alalak plants that flourish in the pit drain them of their blood and dissolve their flesh. The leaves, barbed vines, and strange, bulbous, mushroom-shaped flowers glisten redly in the sun, pulsing with the blood of their victims. A wire fence has been erected around the top of the pit. Masked lords and ladies of the court amble around the edge, taking an unholy pleasure in the viewing of their grisly executions. Can we request trial by Bok instead? I mean, the trial's already happened, so probably not. Today it is your turn to taste the tendrils of Alalak, as the saying goes. You are shoved into the garden, you plummet headfirst into a large, fat melon-like fruit of one of the plants. It explodes, spraying fresh blood into the air. A crimson vine snakes its way toward you, dripping blood from its barbed sucker. This is a tough roll, and we made it! You know that the carnivorous alalak plant is drawn to movement, and that the worst thing you could do if ensnared by the alalak is to struggle. You also know that at night the alalak is dormant. All you have to do is remain absolutely still no matter what until nightfall. Yeah, we're gonna fail this. So close! Oh, that was literally impossible. Even a 12 wouldn't have done it. You lie stock still. Unfortunately for you, another victim is thrown into the pit and lands on top of you. You try to calm him, but his struggles alert the alalak plants. One of them gets hold on you, injecting a painful, paralyzing venom, and everything goes black. You are dead since you do not have a resurrection deal. An unfortunate end to your adventures. Well, that is truly unfortunate. I had hoped Amule would do slightly better than that. But hey, play will continue, I can assure you. There will be another episode. For now, though, I'm going to leave this one here. What I might do is, some of you may remember Vorga, the relative of Lorga. She's gone and done some adventures in Sakara and Golnir. Not really anything anywhere else yet. And she's hit rank 5. She has a lot of potions, some very nice armor, a really nice shield, a helmet, and a magic sword. We could send her into Old Harkuna and the Uttakin lands and see how she fares. No promises, it could be a complete disaster, but it saves watching me play through all the early game stuff again. And many of you have probably seen most of the Golnir stuff in early access anyway. For now though, I'm going to end this episode here. If you would like to see me start again, let me know which class you'd like to see me play in the comments section down below. And if you want to see Vorga spring into action, as it were, why not throw in a little comment for that as well. Let's take a few moments of silence to appreciate the life of Omule. She had some good luck, she had some bad, and some fine adventures. Alright, that's probably enough for now. See you all next time. Bye bye everybody.